The Omega girl was tied to a fence by the pack's Luna. Until the lone alpha stepped in, she leaves with me. I still feel the moment his hands touch the ropes around my wrists. Not gentle, not cruel, just certain. Like he already knew the chaos under my skin would answer only to him. And when his breath brushed my cheek, the power inside me didn't lash out. It melted, surged, reached for him as if it had been starving for years. Tell me, why would a girl who's been caged her whole life lean toward the one man everyone fears? Why would my pulse betray me for an alpha I'd never met? And why did he whisper, right before the world snapped in half, "She leaves with me tonight"? Rainmakers, before I take you into the night, everything changed. Don't just listen, stay with me. Hit subscribe, send your hypes. Don't wander off and pretend you won't crave the next part. You're already in too deep. Now, come closer. The fence was cold against my back, the ropes cutting into my skin each time I breathed. The Luna paced in front of me, her eyes sharp, waiting for my power to flare, waiting for the proof that I wasn't fit to live past sunrise. I could feel the instability coiling under my ribs, rising like heat trapped in a cage. If it snapped, if I lost control even once, the council would call it justice. Then the forest went silent. Not quiet. Silent. Like the trees themselves were holding their breath. He stepped out of the shadows. The lone alpha. A man the pack whispered about in fear. The outcast who never bowed. The one wolves sensed long before they saw. The moment his gaze met mine, the power inside me shifted. It didn't scream. It didn't claw. It recognized him. The Luna felt it too. Her face went pale just for a second before she masked it with authority. "She's unstable," she told him. "Stand back." But he kept walking. Each step he took toward me tightened the bond spark pulling at my ribs, like something deep inside me was trying to reach him, trying to calm itself through him. He stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could feel the heat of his presence, the danger in it, the quiet promise that he wasn't here for permission. "You tied the wrong girl," he said, voice low, steady. "And you're doing it for the wrong reason." The Luna tried to block him, but he brushed past her as if she were smoke. His fingers touched the ropes. A simple touch. And the power under my skin surged toward him in a wave so hot, I thought it would tear me apart. But instead, it settled. For the first time in my life, he froze, not from fear, from understanding. Whatever I was, whatever curse or bond line or broken thing lived inside me, it had chosen him. He broke the ropes, caught me before I fell. The pack stepped back as if the ground itself had shifted under their paws. And then, in a voice that carried through the entire clearing, he said the words that rewrote everything. "She leaves with me." No hesitation, no discussion, no permission asked. The Luna's mouth opened, but the forest answered first, a pulse of energy rolling off me so strongly that the wolves flinched. He lifted me into his arms. Not tender, not possessive, something raw. Like taking me was the only thing keeping the world from collapsing around us. And as he walked away with me, the pack whispered the same thing. Something ancient has awakened. The realization barely settled before branches snapped somewhere behind us. Fast, coordinated steps closing in. Not wolves, pack soldiers. The Luna hadn't wasted a single breath. He shifted me higher in his arms, his movement sharper now, the kind that came from instinct and threat merging into one. "Hold on," he said. I didn't get the chance to answer. The fourth pulse hit. Not gentle, not patient. A deep, dragging pull that felt like it wanted to fuse our shadows together. My breath hitched against his clavicle, and his body reacted with a low, strained sound he couldn't hide this time. His pace faltered. For a moment, he stood still, chest heaving, fighting the tether like it was a living thing trying to climb under his skin. "This bond," he growled softly. "It's behaving like it has a mind of its own." My fingers curled into his shoulder without thinking. The bond tugged harder, like it wanted more contact, more closeness, more something neither of us was prepared for. He drew in a slow breath and forced himself forward through the trees. Behind us, the Luna's voice cut through the forest. "Bring her back alive. The Alpha doesn't understand what she carries." Her words hit me like ice and fire at once. He stiffened, not because of her command, but because of what she implied. He didn't ask me what the Luna meant. He didn't look down. He just ran. The wind tore through the branches as he moved faster, pushing past roots and fallen logs, like the forest bent for him alone. But no matter how quickly he moved, the bond kept tightening, pulling at both of us with a rhythm that was becoming too synced, too intimate, too consuming. I felt another pulse rise under my skin, slower this time, heavier, building like a storm waiting for a crack. He felt it too. "Don't release it," he said, voice low and rough. "Not here, not with scouts so close." "I'm trying," I whispered. But the truth was, the bond wasn't asking for my permission. The pressure kept climbing, heat curling through the air between us, until even the night felt thick with it. My breath trembled. His arm flexed around me, fighting the same pull. The fifth pulse finally broke. It didn't explode outward. It collapsed inward, straight into him. His steps faltered again. His head dropped for a split second, forehead brushing mine. Breaths tangling as the tether dragged us into a closeness that felt less like choice and more like inevitability. He forced himself upright, jaw tight, eyes darker than before. "They're too close," he said. "If that surge repeats, it'll give us away." But the bond didn't care about safety, or distance, or the Luna's hunt. It wanted him, it wanted me, and it was done pretending otherwise. He adjusted his grip, voice steady but strained. "We need to reach the pines before the next pulse hits. If we don't—" Another set of footsteps thundered behind us, closer, too close. His eyes flicked toward the noise, then toward me. "Hold tighter," he commanded, because the next pulse was already rising, and this one felt like it wouldn't stop at just heat. It wanted to unmake the night. The pulse didn't wait. It slammed through me before he even finished speaking. A jolt that blurred my vision and sent a shockwave through the trees. The air rippled. Pine needles lifted off the forest floor as if gravity forgot how to work. He cursed under his breath, tightening his hold as the surge tried to drag him closer than physical space allowed. "Breathe. Don't let it spiral," he said. But it was already spiraling. The council trackers burst through the brush behind us, fast, trained, moving in perfect formation. Their eyes went straight to me, then to him, then to the flicker rising off my skin like heat off iron. "She's destabilizing," one shouted. "Destabilizing." The word dug into me, sharp and humiliating, and panic punched through my chest. That was all it took. The bond yanked him into me again, a pull that snapped against our ribs, slamming our breaths together for a split second. His eyes flared. "Don't panic. It reacts to your fear." Easy for him to say. Every part of me felt like a fuse burning too fast. He ducked behind a fallen log, shielding me as more trackers closed in. My pulse stuttered, and the tether tightened again, harder, dragging him closer. His hand rose, not to restrain me, but to steady me. Just 2 fingers against my jaw. The moment he touched me, the forest stopped. Wind froze. Branches stilled mid-sway. The night held its breath again, just as it had the moment he first cut me down. The trackers hesitated, some stepping back, others gripping their weapons, unsure whether to attack or run. The pressure inside me eased, not because it faded, but because it reshaped itself around his touch. His voice dropped low, not soothing, commanding. Focus on me, not them. The bond responded instantly, folding, bending, redirecting my power into a calmer rhythm that felt oddly natural, like it had always waited for this alignment. He studied me with an expression I couldn't read. Not fear, not disgust. Recognition. You're not cursed, he murmured. They lied. Another pulse rolled through me, softer this time, not chaotic, awakening. He felt it. I saw the realization hit him like a blade. You're not losing control, he said. You're coming into it. Before I could speak, a tracker lunged around the log. The surge reacted before I did. Light, hot, silent, sharp, burst from my skin, sending the attacker flying back into a tree. His body hit the trunk with enough force to splinter bark. The forest echoed with the impact. I wasn't sure if I screamed. I wasn't sure if I breathed. He grabbed me, pulling me into his chest as the air settled. That wasn't destruction, he whispered. That was power waking up. The trackers regrouped, fear now etched in their movements. We have to go, he said, before they call reinforcements. But the bond pulsed again, not frantic this time. Slow, controlled, a rising hum that understood him and understood me. He looked down at me like he'd just realized what the council tried to bury. I wasn't their weapon. I wasn't their curse. I was something they thought they'd wiped out. And I was waking up. The trackers didn't dare take another step, but the surges inside me were already climbing again. Faster now, stacking one on top of the other. The night pulsed with them. My legs trembled under the weight of it. He caught the change instantly. Your body can't hold this pace, he said. You're burning too hot. I don't know how to stop it. His jaw clenched, not angry, but calculating. He looked at my hands, my breath, the way the air rippled around me. There's only one method that stabilizes a rising bond, he said quietly, almost grudgingly. My pulse jumped. The tether? His silence was answer enough. I'd heard whispers. Wolves who spoke of a ritual so intimate it blurred every line between power and surrender. A grounding that fused energy in a way no outsider could undo. Something alphas didn't perform unless they were sure or desperate. He stepped back, putting distance between us as if he feared what agreeing would do. No, he said. You're already overloaded. The tether will hit you too hard. You won't handle the intensity. Then don't let it hit me alone. Another surge cracked outward, bending pine branches. The pressure made my knees buckle. My hands shook uncontrollably. My vision throbbed with white light. I reached for him without meaning to. Please, I whispered. I don't want to lose myself. That stopped him. Fully. Completely. He stepped toward me slowly, each movement deliberate, cautious, like approaching a wildfire he needed to contain with his bare hands. The moment I touch you, he warned, it won't be soft. It won't be calm. It will take what it wants from both of us. I know. And once it snaps into place, There's no taking it back. Another surge exploded, this one stronger, wrenching my breath from my lungs. I cried out. He broke. In one swift motion, he caught my face in his hands. Not hesitant now, but intentional, grounding me with a force that sent heat spiraling through every inch of my skin. The tether reacted instantly. It didn't slide between us. It detonated. My breath collided with his energy folded around mine like a storm pulling another storm into itself. Heat shot through my spine, sharp, raw, euphemistic, a force that dragged a sound from my throat I couldn't swallow. His grip tightened, anchoring me through the surge. His forehead dropped to mine, breaths clashing as the tether snapped halfway into place with a pull so intense my vision shattered into sparks. He hissed through his teeth, fighting the instinct to pull me even closer. Enough, he growled at the bond. Not all the way, not tonight. The tether resisted. It wanted more, but he forced it still. The world steadied around us, but our bodies didn't. My legs gave out, and he caught me before I hit the ground. He wasn't steady either. His breath scraped the air like every instinct he had was still trying to finish what the tether started. He pulled back just enough to look at me. That was half, he said quietly. Only half. And still, my entire body trembled from the aftermath. He didn't give the tether another chance to surge. He lifted me again, holding me against him in a way that kept the bond from flaring too wildly. We need shelter, he said. Somewhere the council won't follow. We moved through the forest until the trees changed. Taller, older, twisted in shapes that whispered of something long forgotten. The air thickened, heavy with memories that weren't mine. He slowed. We're close. To what? I asked. He didn't answer. Not because he didn't know, but because the truth was too heavy for the space between us. We stepped into a clearing. Ruins stood before us, stone walls carved with symbols older than any pack in the region. The moonlight hit them, and something inside my chest lurched in recognition. My people, I whispered. He set me down gently, watching me with an expression caught between awe and guilt. I reached out and touched the nearest stone. The world snapped open. Visions slammed into me, flashes of wolves with glowing veins, alphas kneeling before omega-born matriarchs, councils arguing, betrayal carved into the night, screams swallowed by fire. I saw the massacre. Not random. Ordered. Planned. Executed by the same council hunting us now. My breath tore in and out, the truth burning through me. They killed them, I whispered. Because my bloodline could choose its alpha. His eyes locked onto mine, and for the first time, I saw fear in them. Not fear of me, fear of fate. Now you understand, he said softly. My power reacts to you because your bond line recognizes mine, he finished. Because you weren't meant to obey any alpha. You were meant to match one. The ruins hummed under my fingertips, energy rising once again. But this time, it wasn't instability. It was awakening. The hum beneath my fingers deepened, vibrating through my bones until my knees threatened to give out again. The ruins didn't just remember my bloodline, they answered it. And the answer was a pull that climbed straight up my spine. He saw it immediately. Midnight is close, he murmured. Your power is spiking too fast. He stepped toward me, eyes tracking every flicker of light rising off my skin. This pace will rip you apart if we don't ground it. My breath shook. Then do it! He looked away for a moment, jaw tight, shoulders rising with a tension he couldn't hide. You don't understand what that ritual demands. But the next surge hit me, sharp, deep, overwhelming, and my body arched against the force of it. A sound tore from my throat. The ground cracked beneath my feet. His control broke instantly. He caught me, pulling me to him in one fierce motion, holding me through the tremor ripping through my core. Look at me, he commanded. I did, and the bond surged so violently the air snapped between us. He swore under his breath. Midnight struck. The ritual didn't wait. The bond dragged us together, heat coiling like two storms clasping claws. His hands steadied my trembling body, guiding the surge so it didn't tear through me. My breath clashed with his, fast and uneven. The world blurred. Don't fight me, he said, voice low, strained, thick with instinct. I'm not, I whispered. I'm holding on. The energy coiled tighter, contracting around us like an unseen grip. His forehead touched mine, his breath hot against my cheek as the tether ignited between us. Euphemistic, raw, intimate enough to shake the ancient stones. He anchored me with a control that trembled at the edges, dominance sharpened not to claim me, but to keep me from burning alive. I surrendered, not in fear, but in trust so complete it made the ritual surge brighter, hotter. The bond slammed into place, another third snapping tight with a force that stole both our breaths. My legs buckled. He caught me before I fell, holding me against him as the last waves of heat rippled through my ribs. The ruins' glow dimmed around us. His grip didn't loosen. He breathed against my hair, unsteady, as if the bond hadn't just anchored me, but hooked itself into him too. When he finally spoke, it wasn't alpha command. It was something raw. I don't think, he whispered, I can leave you now. The night hadn't even recovered from the ritual when the temperature around us dropped suddenly. Sharp, unnatural. He stiffened. She's here. The Luna stepped into the ruins like she'd walked out of the stones themselves. Her eyes locked onto my trembling form in his arms, not with jealousy, but with calculation. I warned you, she said to him. That bond was never meant to exist. He shifted, placing his body between hers and mine. You won't touch her. She smiled, brittle, cold. I don't need to. I only need to break what you foolishly strengthened. She raised her hands. The ground cracked. The ruins trembled. The air split open with a shriek of severing magic, a forbidden strike used only to tear bonds apart. Pain ripped through me like lightning. My knees hit the earth. My breath shattered. He roared, diving forward to shield me as the Luna's power slammed into us, trying to sever the tether violently at the root. The bond fought back, but the force of it sent another spike through my ribs, too sharp to contain. My power erupted in pure instinct, a blast so fierce the ruins shook and pieces of stone rained from above. The Luna was thrown backward, crashing into a pillar with a cry of shock. I collapsed, shaking, vision white-hot. He gathered me into his arms immediately. Stay with me. Don't give in to the fracture. But my power wasn't listening. It spiraled, wild, defending itself with bursts that nearly broke the earth beneath us. He held me tighter, shielding me with his body, as another wave of my uncontrolled energy burst outward. The ruins cracked, trees bent, the ground quivered. The Luna staggered to her feet, face pale, horror twisting her features as she realized the bond wasn't weakening. It was evolving. Terrified, she turned and fled into the night, limping, clutching her ribs, knowing she couldn't face what we were becoming. He didn't chase her. He focused only on me, pressing his forehead to mine again, grounding the last chaotic pulses with a voice that trembled from the strain. "I've got you. I'm not letting you break." The bond steadied. My breath returned, but both of us felt it. Something irreversible had happened. The ritual hadn't just strengthened the tether. It had woken something far older. The ruins were still trembling when the last surge faded. His arms stayed locked around me long after the danger passed, as if any distance might trigger another fracture. When he finally eased his hold, I saw something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Not fear of me. Fear for me. "You weren't supposed to awaken this fast," he said quietly. "Not without knowing what you're bound to." His tone wasn't warning. It was confession. I sat up slowly, breath still unsteady. "Tell me." He looked away, the first time he'd ever broken eye contact. "I don't want you seeing what I was." My heart thudded once, hard. "I already have." His jaw clenched. The ruins glowed faintly, waiting with us. "The council didn't exile me because I disobeyed," he said. "They exiled me because I refused to be bred into obedience." The words hit the air like steel. He kept going, voice low, rough, stripped of the alpha hardness he used around everyone else. "They tried to force a line into me, a manufactured heir, a mate chosen for power, a future carved by their hands, not mine." My breath caught, not from fear, from the anger rising for him. "When I pushed back," he continued, "they tried to break me, break my will, break what I am." He didn't look at me as he said the next part. "I killed half my pack that night." The ruins fell silent. Even the bond paused its pulse. He waited for me to step away, flinch, run. Instead, I rose to my knees and moved toward him, slow but certain. His breath hitched, barely perceptible, as if he didn't understand why my feet kept crossing the space between us. "You killed them because they tried to cage you," I said, "not because you wanted to." "They would tell it differently," he whispered. "I'm not them." He finally looked up, and for the first time, I saw something unguarded in his eyes. Not dominance, not control, something human, something wounded and furious and afraid of being seen. I reached out and touched his chest. One steady, deliberate press of my palm. His breath stilled. The bond tightened. Not with heat this time. With emotion so sharp, it felt like a second heartbeat rising between us. He swallowed hard. "You shouldn't come closer." "Why not?" "Because you're touching a monster." I shook my head. "No. I'm touching the only one who ever protected me." The connection between us deepened with that single truth. Not tether, not ritual, recognition. His hand hovered near my waist, not claiming, not commanding, just wanting, afraid to take. The bond didn't surge. It hummed, warm, steady. For the first time, we weren't anchoring power. We were anchoring each other. Night settled fully around the ruins, shadows climbing the carved walls like ink. My power had stopped spiraling, but it hadn't stopped calling. Not for grounding. For him. He felt it too. The shift, the hunger threading through the bond. His jaw locked, his breathing changed. His hand that hovered near me trembled once before he pulled it back sharply. "No," he muttered. "Not tonight. You've barely recovered." But the tether coiled around that denial, tugging at both of us with a heat that wasn't chaotic this time. It was deliberate, focused, awakening in a different direction entirely. I stepped closer. One slow movement, giving him every chance to step away. He didn't. His breath stuttered. "Don't do this," he said, but the warning in his voice cracked down the middle. "My power wants you," I whispered. "And I want—" He cut himself off, fists tightening at his sides. But the bond finished the sentence for him. It dragged him toward me in a pull so sharp and hungry, he had to brace one hand against the stone wall just to stay upright. "I can't keep restraint," he breathed. "Not if you stand there like that." "Then don't." His control shattered. He moved, not gentle, not slow, a surge of heat and instinct pulling me into him with a force that stole the night from around us. His breath collided with mine, rough and uneven, and the tether ignited in a blaze hotter than anything the ritual had unleashed. The second euphemistic night wasn't grounding. It was claiming, answering hunger with hunger. His hands guided me, steady but shaking, as if battling every instinct except the one pulling him deeper. My breath tangled with his in sharp, trembling bursts. The world spun. Heat rose in waves that felt alive. He wasn't dominating to control this time. He was losing himself. To me. And I surrendered. Not gently, but with fire threaded through every movement, every gasp, every trembling press of my body to his. The tether snapped another third into place, a violent, breath-stealing click of connection that rocked through both of us, leaving the ruins glowing faintly around our silhouettes. By the time the last waves faded, dawn had begun to warm the horizon. He collapsed to his knees, pulling me with him, his forehead resting against my shoulder, breath shaking like he'd fought a war. "We shouldn't have," he whispered, but his arms tightened as he said it. The bond glowed beneath my skin. The council felt it. Every pack in the region felt it. Because whatever we unleashed this night was something the old bloodlines were destroyed to prevent. The sun barely touched the ruins before the air changed. A howl rolled across the horizon. Not a warning, a declaration. He stiffened instantly, pulling me closer, eyes narrowing at the tremor in the ground. "They felt it," he said. "All of them." Before I could ask what he meant, another sound rose. Deeper, colder, layered with authority. The council's decree. A voice carried by magic itself thundered through the pines. "The anomaly has awakened. The bond line must be eliminated. Both targets are to be taken or killed." My stomach twisted, but not from fear, from fury. He stood, placing himself between me and the sound, as if the decree were a blade aimed at my throat. His shoulders squared. "So they've chosen war," he said. Branches snapped in every direction. Hunters closing in. Dozens, maybe more. Their scents circled us like tightening cords. I pushed to my feet. "We can't run forever." He turned sharply toward me. "You're not fighting them." "My power answers me now," I said, "and I'm done hiding." I lifted my hand. The ruins pulsed. Energy rose around my fingers. Not wild this time, not erratic, responsive. He stared, realization settling over him like a shadow. "You've crossed the midpoint." Before he could say more, shapes burst through the trees. Hunters with silver-threaded spears, talismans carved to suppress rogue power, eyes sharp with fear disguised as duty. I stepped forward. He reached for me, but stopped when he saw the way my power curled in the air, waiting for command like a loyal creature. The first hunter lunged. I didn't even touch him. A flick of my fingers sent a shockwave through the clearing, knocking him back into 3 others. They crashed hard, weapons flying. He stared at me, not in shock, in pride edged with something far deeper. "Stay behind me if they rush for your blind side," he said. I nodded, Only if you stay alive long enough to see me burn their decree. Hunters charged from all directions. He moved like a storm breaking its chains. I answered with power that felt like inherited memory. By the time the last hunter fled, we stood in a ring of broken weapons and scorched stone. "They won't stop," he said. "Then let them come." But as the wind picked up, I felt a strange pull in my chest. Faint, distant, like a whisper of danger threading through the bond. He noticed the shift in my expression. "What is it?" I opened my mouth to answer, and the world snapped white. I woke in chains, cold stone beneath me, magic restraints burning against my wrists, crafted to suppress my power. My vision blurred, then cleared just enough to recognize the council's stronghold, deeper underground than any place meant for living creatures. A voice echoed beside me. "She woke faster than expected." Another replied, "Good, overload her. Break the tether before he arrives." The words hit my spine like knives. They were going to force the core inside me to rupture, turn my awakening into a weapon against itself. Pain spiked through my chest as they activated the bindings. My body arched involuntarily, heat ripping through me in violent surges. I gasped his name, raw, desperate, because the bond wasn't just emotional anymore. It was instinct, and instinct screamed for him. The moment his name left my lips, the tether reacted. The world around me fractured, literally. Cracks split through the air like glass breaking under pressure. The council reeled back, terrified. "She's tearing the veil! Get more restraints!" A thunderous roar cut through their panic. Not a wolf's roar, not human, his. The sound of an alpha whose bonded mate was in agony. The stronghold shook, dust raining from the ceiling. Chains rattled, doors splintered, guards screamed. He wasn't approaching. He was detonating his way through the corridors. The council scrambled, powering the restraints to maximum. My core thrashed under the overload, pain shredding my breath. My vision flickered, and through the blinding burn, the tether pulsed, clearer than any heartbeat I'd ever felt. He was coming, not carefully, not strategically, driven by something ancient and absolute, tether instinct. The door to my chamber exploded inward. He stood in the smoke, eyes black with fury, chest rising with breaths that shook the walls. He saw the restraints. He saw the pain. He stopped thinking. He crossed the room in one step, shattering bindings with his bare hands. The overload didn't stop. My core kept spiraling upward, ready to break me from the inside out. "There's only one way to stop it," he said, voice low, urgent. I lifted my shaking hands toward him. "Do it." His breath trembled. "Once we complete the bond, there is no undoing it." "Then don't undo it." The tether pulsed, once, twice, demanding the final stage. He cupped my face, forehead pressed to mine, as the bond ignited around us in a blaze hot enough to silence the council, the restraints, the world itself. And together, we crossed the line no one had survived before. The chamber shook around us, the restraints collapsing into dust as the tether flared between my ribs and his. The council scrambled backward, shouting orders no one obeyed, because every creature in that room could feel what was about to happen. The bond wasn't asking anymore. It was demanding. His hands tightened at the sides of my face, breath rough, uneven, pulled straight from the edge of control. "This will break the world," he warned. "It's already breaking me," I whispered. "Take me through it." That was all it took. The final stage ignited. Heat ripped through the air. Not fire, not light. Something older, alive, euphemistic in a way that felt like power folding in on itself. My breath collided with his, our foreheads pressed together as the tether locked onto us with a force that dragged a sound from deep in my chest. He answered it with one of his own, raw, fierce, surrender and dominance braided into a single exhale. The world shook. He pulled me into him, anchoring me against the violent surge tearing through my spine. I clung back, not to survive, to merge. The bond wrapped around us like a living storm, dragging every ounce of heat, fear, want, instinct, and hunger into one impossible moment. No tenderness, no hesitation, just two powers collapsing into each other like gravity reversing. Energy burst outward, a silent explosion that flipped the chamber into white light. Council members were thrown against walls, shields disintegrating before they even reached us. His breath hit my cheek, hot, shaking. My fingers tangled in his hold, trembling, demanding. The tether twisted tighter, spiraling upward like a star being born. Then it hit, the final snap, a euphemistic surge so deep it stole the floor from under us. My body arched into him as the bond fused. Not halfway, not in pieces, completely. A completion older than pack laws, older than the council, older than anything breathing in that room. He let out a sound no alpha had ever been allowed to make, a claiming that wasn't ownership, it was recognition. My power answered, not wild, not broken, perfectly synchronized. The chamber couldn't hold it. Stone cracked. Ceilings groaned. The ground split open in a ring spreading out from our feet. The council fell to their knees, unable to stand under the pressure of the completed bond line. Their magic extinguished like candles drowning in water. A final pulse roared outward, leveling the chamber, shattering their seals, rewriting every hierarchy carved into their laws. When the dust settled, I was on my knees, his arms around me, both of us breathing like we'd clawed our way back from death. The Luna staggered forward, staring at us with wide, terrified eyes. The bond line glow still threaded under my skin. Answering every breath he took, she dropped to her knees. Alpha, Omega, you've become what we feared. He rose slowly, pulling me up beside him. His hand stayed at my waist, not possessive, stabilizing, grounding, connected. We're not fugitives anymore, he said. The room trembled with the truth of it. He turned to the council's broken circle, eyes burning with a power no alpha alive had ever carried. She leaves with me, he said, voice steady, lethal, absolute. And this world will learn why. The bond pulsed once, a final, undeniable declaration. A new era had begun.